What's going on, shitheads? Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to have the mathematically correct stash in Escape from Tarkov. I can kit up in Escape from Tarkov in as little as 15 seconds. Back into another raid, new meds, new ammunition, and this is perfect for anyone. Are you a content creator? Guess what? Your chat doesn't want to see you fumbling around your fucking stash, dude. Are you the guy in your group single-handedly selling each item after raid while your friends are hemming and hawing you to get your ass in the lobby? That's not going to be you anymore. You're going to have an infinite amount of time. Maybe you're playing solo. Guess what? The 4 hours you had to play in the evening is going to be 4 hours of actually playing the game and not 2 hours and 2 hours of sitting in your stash with your head up your ass. Every single one of you guys can benefit from this, so let's begin. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is going to be a two-part video. You're going to absolutely have to watch and understand this video for me to do the follow video, and it's how I became the richest player in Escape from Tarkov and held down that title when there was actually leaderboards in the game. And it was all thanks to this system right here and everything I'll teach you in that video. So stay tuned for that and make sure you watch and understand this. All right, the first step you have to do, you need to clean your fucking stash. First things first, sell literally everything you're not going to use. Anything that's not a quest item, get it out of your stash. Only keep high tier ammunition that you will use, weapons and armor that you see yourself using soon, and those quest items and whatever cases and keys you currently have. Other than that, sell fucking everything. You'll probably want to keep your backpacks too. If you have any kits in your stash that you're honestly scared to use, either use it and lose it or go ahead and sell it. You're going to want as much stash space as you can for this strategy, and any capital you can get your hands on is also going to make this even better. With your backpacks for now, just go ahead and stack them all up and put them all the way in the bottom of your stash in a corner, and we'll get to them in a little bit. And they specifically need to be in the bottom of your stash. All right, the next thing is cases. Now, if you're watching this video, I already assume you've played Tarkov for a good amount of time and you know how important cases are. For an example, a key bar, it's a 1x1 slot in your stash, and it can go inside of other cases, which we'll go into soon. It can go ahead and turn one slot into 16 slots. So any sort of case you can get your hand on, go ahead and buy them. It's going to make this so much easier. I'm going to go through all the different depot cases that I recommend you guys get in just a minute, but the cases are huge. It's the #1 investment that you can get in Tarkov outside of making your stash bigger or purchasing keys. So make sure you're buying those cases whenever you can. Go broke for cases. Seriously, it will make your guys' Tarkov experience so much better. If you're a newer person, I did do a whole video on case priority lists, so I'll have that link in the top right now, and you guys can go ahead and watch that and come back to this video. All right, now that you've sold just about everything, you have a lot more room in your stash. What I want you to do with the equipment, you're actually going to keep the kits you see yourself using, those keys, those cases, those backpacks that you're not going to get rid of. You need to move every single one of them down to the bottom of your stash, and this might seem a little counterproductive. Auto sort's not going to work. When you control click items, whenever you come to your stash, you're going to need to go to your bottom of your stash, but trust me, it's all part of the plan, and you guys are going to absolutely love this. This system is devised so you spend the least amount of time clicking back and forth, and you can kit out and depot extremely fast. I don't see anyone else do this system either. So the more space you can get towards the top of your stash, the longer you're gonna be able to go and the more efficient this becomes. Really, the more space you can get your hands on, the faster you can kit, the faster you can depot, and the more money you'll actually be making. That being said, all of us have different stash spaces. Maybe you have EOD, maybe you haven't upgraded your stash in game yet, maybe you purchased the stash upgrade on the website. If you're also really low on money, you might need a little bit less space because you're gonna be wanting to sell a little bit more, but we'll cover that in a second. All right, now we have this whole maybe top half of our stash. It is our depot section. Underneath that, I want you guys to start laying down your cases. So a huge one to get is your thick items case. I like to put all my ammo cases, my med cases, etc. into this right here, as well as my key bars, my dogs cases, my sit cases, anything like that, grenades cases. I like to keep them right there for things I'm actually going to use. Other than that, right next to these cases, I like to run a lot of different junk boxes. So these junk boxes, buy as many as you can get, or even better, if you can barter for them, barter and get as many as you can get. I like to run around 6 junk boxes, which seems overkill. And you'll see I'll do like Tech 1 and Tech 2. So Tech 1 is just 1x1 items, really small, and Tech 2 is anything 2x1, 2x2 bigger to throw in there, and it really helps the depot time. If you run a lot of interchange, you'll fill up one of these boxes in 2-3 raids. You want to be able to keep it going no matter what. You're going to be depoting that stuff into those boxes. I also also like to keep a construction box, if you will. Construction 1, construction 2. That's like things like your metal parts, for example, right? Your car batteries, things you're gonna find inside, you know, inside of like industrial loot, and a lot of like hideout upgrading items. All right, outside of that, I like to have an ammo depot box, and maybe you can go with 2 of them. So for example, I'll have 1 ammo depot box. It's just ammo that I intend to sell on the flea market, and everything that goes in these boxes is only for the flea market. We're not putting in anything in these boxes that's meant to be sold to traders. Other than that, I'll have another ammo depot box of ammunition that I'll actually use. I'll go ahead and throw these into my thick items case and then pull out a new box as I need. And these are just my depot boxes. You can do the same thing with a Mr. Holodnik, for example, right? So if you want to go ahead and put your cokes in there, your hot rods, your moonshines, that way you're just not selling after every single raid those, you know, high value consumable items, if you will. You can have your own separate Mr. Holodnik for food you actually need. 2 other depot boxes you can add is a dog tags case if you like to take advantage of those dog tag barters, and you can also add a grenades case. Maybe you're not a big fan of using VOG 25s. Well, they sell for quite a lot, and you can just depot them right here and then sell them big in bulk. All right, underneath all of these cases, I like to run just my equipment. Normally I'll use items cases and throw in my rigs, my armored rigs, my armor, and I'll surround them with helmets, right? As well as that, I like to run some weapon cases down here. You're gonna break down all of your weapons, take off any like huge parts of them, namely the magazine and the pistol grip. You can just sell them, but if it's like a really rare magazine, if you will, maybe it's like an AS Val 30 rounder they're selling for quite a lot, you could throw them in a magazine case, right? But most magazines, they're no big deal. All right, you're looking pretty good now. The only change I want you to make at the very top of your stash now is you're gonna put whatever immediate refreshers you're gonna need after a raid. So I like to run things like fresh meds at there. Run a meds case or a meds backpack. Get fresh saluas, fresh morphines, you know, your injector of choice, your splints, your bandages, your hemostats, anything to quickly refresh on those items. I also like to keep a grenades case up there. Any of my grenades, I need to go ahead and grab them really quickly. No big deal. I have that done. Up there as well, I like to keep a money case. That's just for any items that we sell or any loose ruble we need to get rid of. We throw it right there when we can control click it in. What we're doing is a little movements as possible, and we'll start by filling up that money case first whenever we do sell items, and then swapping it into our thick case later on and putting a new money case up in the top, right? All about efficiency. Other than that, I like to keep a little bit of food and water at the top of the stash. You can keep it in a Holodnik, or you can just use like some really condensed food that you can get a lot of food out of. So for example, like an aquamarine, especially if you have elite metabolism, you're usually not going to be needing a lot of food and water. So I just like to keep a little bit at the top. And those are all of your consumable items, so you're not searching for those in the middle of a raid. Now you can just keep these in your thick case. This is really personal preference, but if you want the maximum efficiency, you'll want to keep those at the top. All right, the next thing you need to do to really save yourself a lot of time is stockpile on anything you like to use. Maybe you're a big fan of 5.56 in Escape from Tarkov right now. Well, going ahead and buying 8.55A1 as much as you can from the vendors would be a no-brainer. Or maybe you feel that way about 308. So then you're gonna go ahead and stockpile on 308. So once every couple hours, you're just gonna buy in bulk things you like to use. And this is gonna change for every single person, especially depending on like what your dollar cost average is on your kits in game. But just go ahead and refresh on those things you like to use. And it's best to use a couple different calibers, you know, and a couple different types of armor. So that way you're not running into issues. You always have a supply of gear, weapons, and ammunition that fits your budget and will put people down, or really, you know, succeed with whatever you need to do. Maybe it's questing, maybe you need to go ahead and learn a new map, maybe you're just PvP, just getting that dollar cost average in that kit, so you always have that same thing run. You're not having to put together some sort of weird kit on the flea market or going to the traders trying to decide what you want to run. I would also recommend that you make a lot of weapons you like to run. Go ahead, turn them into presets and just build them in bulk. Go ahead and remove the magazines and the pistol grips as we talked about and throw them in your cases. We'll cover the efficient way of actually gearing up with this method in just a second, but this way you're never wasting your time buying things from the traders. All right, next up, you need to actually gear up using this method. It's a little bit weird, but let me go ahead and teach you. So first things first, you're gonna press page down. It's automatically gonna teleport you to the bottom of your stash, and you're going to grab a backpack. Throw one on the sorting table, throw the stack back in the slot you had them in your stash, slap that baby on with Alt plus left click, and click through your gear and quickly equip your, you know, your helmet, your rig, whatever else you need. Go ahead, go to the top of your stash and grab yourself the meds you need. Pick whatever weapon you want from your weapons case. Go to your preset, finish preset. It'll automatically load in a magazine and a pistol grip. You remove that magazine, right click it, buy however many you want from the flea market. It'll autofill from the traders. Right click your magazines, run your ammo presets in each one of those. Unload one of the magazine presets, slot it into your container, top up each of those loose ammunition stacks now in your container. Right click that magazine, reload it, move a bullet into the chamber, and you are ready to go. All All right, you've experienced sweet victory. Guess what? All you need to do is control left click your backpack into the stash. Other than that, you're gonna grab a new backpack with the same system I taught you. Just page down, grab one from the bottom of your stash, and get ready to roll. Other than that, refresh your consumables and toss any loose loot you might have in your container or in your vest. Throw that in your stash. I like to keep my trader cell items in my vest, or in like the high value items in my pouch, obviously, and then I divvy those up. Maybe I'll put all the high value items in a certain container down at the bottom of my stash, and I can easily just therapist off those low value items or some to mechanic, whatever it is, and this makes it buttery smooth. You're ready to go back into another raid. There's not a whole lot of thought process involved in it. Other than that, just do your consumable items, top off your magazine, top off your loose ammo, make sure you have fresh meds, and you're ready to run another raid just like that. So you can do this maybe at the start of every day. You can do it whenever you run out of money. You can do it at the end of the day. I like to do mine maybe every couple days. If I've been streaming for a long period of time, maybe I'll have to do it several times a day. You can do it whenever you want. It sounds like we're talking about masturbation or something. But anyways, at some point you're going to need to organize this. It's no big deal. All you're going to want to do is have no backpack on. Go ahead and grab one, put it on your PMC, or throw it in the sorting table. The sorting table is more preferable as you can angle it just right, so it's the minimum amount of distance between your depot cases and your backpack. And you're just going to go through and depot them in all of your organized cases that you've labeled however you want, whatever makes sense to you, and just drop off all of the flea items in their respective cases. Any items that you can sell for good value to traders, they'll just throw automatically in the top of your stash. Add that backpack down to the backpack stack. It's nice because you already have it in the sorting table, so you can just take your stack, put it on top, throw it back in position, and go through all of your backpacks doing this. Once you're done with all of your backpacks, all you have to do is sell off those items that aren't being fleed to the respective traders and start the system all over again. I would recommend you only sell items from your cases whenever they actually spike up in value, or if you're out of money, then the only other condition is when the case is full. We'll cover that in the next video on how you can make about 3 times the profit playing the game the exact same way you are right now. You'll need to know this system first and foremost. It all has to do with little flea market gimmicks. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.